timeline. Here's why those things hold some significance for us. One of the primary reasons why, and this is again from a competitor, and I'm not going to say who because it doesn't really matter. I'm really not trying to be derogatory, but this is a deep concern. The chemistry of an oil has nothing to do, or the value of an oil has nothing, the chemistry of an oil has nothing to do with quality. Instead, quality is solely determined through aroma profiles and cost. The more expensive an oil, the better quality. So I have great news for you. Today we're raising all of our prices by 4 times. And Corey, just so you know, I just more than tripled our impact. So there you go. We're all set. This does not make any sense. Now, yesterday I talked with you just briefly about the pillars of quality that we have in doTERRA. I know yesterday, those of you who were privileged to attend some of our breakout sessions and the Terra talks, you heard Dr. Osgoodthorpe also talk a little bit briefly about some of our pillars of quality. These aren't just things that we decided would look good on paper or that we thought to ourselves would have some type of a meaning for us, but instead these are the things that stand as clear guideposts for us in every single thing that we do. Now we can divide these into 2 categories which make perfect sense. One is going to be about chemistry and the other is going to be about the healthy outcomes that we all seek and that we enjoy in what we do within doTERRA. And the reason why these become so critical for us, and I know that you had brief exposure to this yesterday as well, is that adultery is rampant in the essential oil community at large. It's too easy to take what nature gave us and to make it something different. It's too easy to take even the most delicate of that chemistry and make it devoid from the process and say that it has no value and that it has no place. And so we had no choice when we look at things, for example, birch, which there are no samples of birch. There is no birch that any longer is not synthetic in one way or another. It's not easy for doTERRA to undertake now bringing birch back to life so that we'll have it in the future. It wasn't easy to learn how to cultivate Roman chamomile. As you recall, we didn't have Roman chamomile for a long period of time because there was no quality that we could source or find anywhere. It's not easy to do what doTERRA does, but it is 100% necessary. And you and I and those that we care for are the recipients of that good and great work that is done. So I'm going to take just a moment now and I'm going to commit my partners to the same thing I'm now committing myself to, which is not new to you because you've heard each one of them say this in their own way. We are 100% committed to who we are as a company. doTERRA is not something that we do. It's something that we live and breathe. It's become a part of who we are. It's in our chemistry, it's in our DNA. And I suspect it's the exact same way for you. And you have our full, unwavering commitment that that is who we have always been and who we will forevermore be in everything that we undertake within doTERRA. Now sometimes, every once in a while, I hear some criticism about the term CPTG. That doesn't really mean anything, that has no merit and that has no value. The real value of CPTG is twofold. First, we wanted to hold ourselves to a higher standard, a standard that actually didn't exist anywhere. Just like we had to do something different with the essential oils, we had to do something different with how we would gauge our progress and our success in holding ourselves accountable to that standard. The other reason why CPTG is so important, because when we talk about purity, we're also leading to the very end run of those 4 pillars that we talked about. We're also then going to talk about efficacy and the value that efficacy brings to each and every single one of us and why it's so critical. And that one word that maybe you won't completely and fully understand is something called chirality. Chirality is the position in space that an essential oil has. It's what allows an essential oil to communicate effectively through the known biochemical pathways and receptors that exist within our bodies. Chirality is not just the formula of a particular component or compound. There's a written formula, but there's also a spatial formula, and its orientation becomes really important. I heard somebody say on the first day of convention that purity is of the utmost importance. They are and were and still are 100% correct. And that is because we cannot recreate chirality when we do something synthetically. We care about CPTG because when we isolate chemistry or we remove chemistry, even in the smallest amount, it affects the overall construct of what the essential oil is biochemically, organically, and how it will react and respond. So CPTG is of the utmost importance in that conversation, and it leads us into another quick point. And I want to lay this as a foundation for you so that you have confidence as we continue to move forward. When the consistency of an essential oil, when it's not present, then there's inconsistency in the value that we receive. They have to go hand in hand. This is a really interesting study. This was in a scientific presentation, actually, that Dr. Osgood Thorpe gave not too long ago. And in that representation to them, he shared this study. And this is a study on the effect of aromatherapy. This was a randomized human clinical trial. And look at the outcome. All those exposed to bergamot, essential oil, they showed a greater reduction in feelings of anxiousness than those in the control group, those who didn't receive. Is that a positive outcome? It's a wonderful outcome, right? Do we get excited about that? Of course we do. But here's another study that's, interestingly enough, the exact same thing. Inhalation of aromatherapy, a controlled double-blind randomized trial. And aromatherapy as administered with bergamot in this study is not beneficial. Why is that? Why is that? And I know that you find yourself in the exact same position that I and my partners do, that people become unduly critical of where we are with our essential oils because of things like this. This is an issue of consistency. This is an issue of when somebody says the quality of an essential oil has nothing to do with chemistry. The quality of an essential oil has everything to do with chemistry. One of the things that we are extremely proud of in doTERRA is that we have consistency with our essential oils. Now let me put this in perspective for you. So we know that we're interested with the entire component and structure of the essential oil, all of its chemistry together. We have a small variation that exists from one lot to another to another. And there's lots of reasons why that can happen, including just the chemical composition that evolves in the different parts of the world. And you've seen now in all the exposure that we've given to you that we source oils literally from all over the world. We are going to have some variation. But remember, we are consumed with consistency, not just purity. Meaning that if we find something and we've done all of this good work that we have, did you like Dr. Stevens' information yesterday? Talking about the benefits that are coming from MetaPower. If that's the case, then we don't want those occasionally, we want those all of the time. And so when we look at important chemistry, like in this case with linalool and linalool acetate, we have very little variation from one batch to another. This is representative of, we went all the way back to when we first started doTERRA, to where we are right now, and our variation in those two very important compounds is 1.07 and 1.81. Great, right? Now let me ask the real question. How many of you know what that means? Some of you do, but let me put it in perspective for you. We have organized these standards that we draw upon and that we hold ourselves accountable to, because the only known standards outside of that allow for as much as a 50% variability, not 1.07. And so there is no consistency. And so when we see a study that says bergamot was great for this and bergamot didn't work for this, and it's the exact same study, can I ask you, please, don't let it bother you. Who cares? I've been waiting for 3 days to say this. They don't know what we know because they don't do what we do. Now, this is the whole sum and parcel of why we have co-impact sourcing. I know we think of co-impact sourcing in this wonderful world, and we all have the same feelings and emotions and ties that root and ground us in doTERRA because of our influence with people around the world. But co-impact sourcing is also about chemistry. It's also about, remember Dr. Stevens' look yesterday? This is my excited look. We get excited about chemistry because we know we can impact chemistry. And so we live in a time and we live in a place right now where maybe you feel challenged. Please don't. Let your confidence reside with us for a while if that's what's needed. Know that we are surrounded by brilliant people. You are erroneous if you think I stand on stage alone. You are erroneous if you think Emily stands on stage alone. You are erroneous if you think Corey or any of the others that you have seen stand on stage alone. So let's move forward, can we? Let's not get mired down in the equation of somebody saying, and I had this experience not too long ago, somebody shared with me a post of a new company that just started. And in that post they said, we took our oils to a doctor who is an owner of doTERRA. I only know one doctor that's an owner of doTERRA. And he analyzed our oils, and he was so amazed and said, these oils are just like ours and even better. I cry foul. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't know that person, and they don't know me. And I wouldn't analyze the oil anyway. I would take it to our team of experts who would say, are you out of your mind? What is this? This is not an oil. Let's no longer find ourselves in the discussion of trying to compete with individuals who say, we do that too. Here's my GC, where's yours? Just like doTERRA. Instead, let's be flattered. Let's invite them into the equation of doTERRA with great confidence and exuberance in knowing that they will experience for the first time what an essential oil really should be.